how will Seidl finally turn things around at Sauber? His job, what he did at McLaren, can be looked at in two different ways, I believe. Obviously, the 2021 season was a
Yep.
success for McLaren, more or less. But Seidl was new there. They weren't exactly piggybacking off of Seidel's, uh, you know, input for that for that season's car. Yes, Seidl did ran a lot of operations and that sort of thing. But the 2022 season was less than it did not deliver on the expectations, basically, right? Which means Seidel and his team, the technical team, made mistakes, or had a lot of faults along the way.
Yep.
And to me, that says that Seidel still has a lot to learn in the Formula One technical regulation aspect of the new cars, and how he's going to go about it, and how he's going to get the technical side of the team to work. However, his new role doesn't exactly need that. Because he's supposed to hire a team principal, and the team principal is supposed to work with the team. He's just a CEO. So for me, it's a little confusing on what exactly the input of Seidel will be, given that he was more in a team principal role where he was working with the technical directors and so on, and running the team, whereas here he's a CEO. So for me, it's not exactly clear what Andreas Seidel's role is at Sauber, besides just making the hires and basically doing what Zach Brown is doing at McLaren. Let's say.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what confused me as well. That's what put me off. Like, it was exciting. It was exciting to see Andreas Seidl get hired by Audi, who are coming in, and they want it's a complete project come from the ground up, basically. But when you read it, when Andreas Seidl is going to be a CEO and not a Andreas Seidl has been a very successful engineer and a very successful team principal, even at Porsche, and not very successful, but successful at McLaren, basically. Like, they were competing with Alpine this season. Sure, they fell short, and they weren't as good as they hoped. But 2021 was good. 2020, I think he joined in 2020, so his transition year basically was also good. Yeah, but Audi wanted someone experienced, and someone, Audi must have wanted someone experienced.
I mean, he's worked with
Yeah,
he's worked with the
within-
group before, right?
Yeah.
So he's got history with the group. So obviously, and along the same line, it is almost I feel it is almost blind of the F1 community to not have predicted this before, that Andreas Seidl could possibly
Volkswagen Group,
move
yeah.
back to the Volkswagen Group with Porsche or Audi in the future. And obviously, as we know now, the talks had begun earlier on, and Andreas Seidl was supposed to move to Sauber in 2026. But it was really Mattia Binotto's move that kicked things off, and Andreas Seidl moved 3 years earlier than he was supposed to. However, yeah, I mean, again,
Yeah.
very, very blind of the F1 community to not have predicted this, or at least talked about this in before all of this kicked off. But yeah, I mean, it's just interesting as to what exactly will be Andreas Seidel's role. Will he have to learn new things? Will he be running the business let's say, because Fred Vasseur was also
Business
taking care
side
of
of it,
the
yeah.
Sauber's business side of things, right? So is he now also running Sauber, basically the applied engineering side of things also for Sauber? Is he also taking care of all the other projects that Sauber will be doing besides F1? So those are the questions that I want answered as to exactly what does this role entail for Andreas Seidl, and how or where from the next team
I think
principal
Andreas
for
Seidl
Sauber.
finds himself in a position he has never been in the sort of business sort of position. As a CEO, he's always been the engineer, a team principal, or whatever. But again, he needs for the 2026 start to go well. They need a 2-year, 3-year lead period, and Andreas Seidl needs to make a very good team principal hire right now. That team principal hire should go for the 3 years. Like, they should be with the team for the 3 years and into when the 26. Because again, if there is sort of attrition in that role, and people are coming in and going out, it all becomes a moot point, right? There's nothing much to it.
Yeah, yeah. And so here's a follow-up question, right? what is Seidel's plan for hiring drivers in
Yeah, I
2026?
know where you're going with this.
And
I can
he-
see that.
Here's two things, right? Now people have been talking about Lando Norris's contract ending in 2025, and the fact that Andreas Seidl should take Lando Norris with him to Sauber to Audi. I think that is not a great move for Lando in 2026. I think it's a debatable move, and we can only be the judge of that in 2025 to seeing how Sauber is doing at that
Yeah,
point
yeah.
from technical and competitive perspective. But here's the other aspect of it, which excites me a little bit more, and that is, two ex-Red Bull drivers in that Audi seat who have one who is German, obviously, that's Sebastian Vettel, and the other who actually has a working relationship with Andreas Seidl in F1, and that is Daniel Ricciardo. Because Mick Schumacher is right now out of the perspective, right? I was going to talk about Mick Schumacher too when I wrote down that question, but then it was announced that
At
Mick has
Mercedes,
taken a
yeah.
reserve driver role at Mercedes. And Mercedes is not a part of the Volkswagen group. And just in case if you're wondering, they're part of the Daimler group, the Volkswagen group. So those are like the two options. I don't know if there are other options, but what are your thoughts regarding future driver hires for Andreas Seidl in 2026? Because I don't see Valtteri Bottas or Zhou Guanyu
Yeah.
spearheading Audi. Because if Audi is stepping into F1, they want to make a statement just like when Aston Martin did, and any other new manufacturer coming in. They want manufacturer factory drivers to put it that way. For the first
Yeah,
couple of
I mean,
years.
I
at
don't
least.
think Seb Vettel will do it. Everyone would love it if he does it, right? It will be a great comeback to F1. But the way he'll exited Formula 1 was a sort of goodbye.
And that's how Michael Schumacher exited Formula One. If you want to really start drawing comparisons, right?
Yeah,
He was like, "Oh, I'm done," and then someone convinced him to come back.
that's true.
Or we could see Sebastian Vettel come back in a more like advisory sort of role.
He's a very
he is technically
sound
sound.
driver, yep.
It's not like he's not technically sound.
I don't know. I don't know about Seb, but Daniel Ricciardo is a good option to get there because again, Daniel is having a sabbatical year right now, but he is signed with Red Bull for the development and a reserve role, so it's a good option. And again, if Audi, as you said, want a leading driver and they want to spearhead it, the realistic options right now are, I mean, I guess Pierre Gasly was an option, but he didn't have a really good season this season in 2022, right? Like at the end of 21, he was one of the top contenders, but 22 was a really average season for Pierre Gasly. So I don't think he's in the conversation right now. He might have a good season at Alpine in 23, but another 2 years, someone like Oscar Piastri shines. Maybe someone like, Logan Sargent. I don't know, but a new driver shines, a new young driver shines. But this situation presents itself is a chance to make a Lewis Hamilton kind of story. Mercedes came into Formula 1 in 2010, and till 2010, 2011, 2012, they were sort of running a good team and winning a couple of races, doing well with Nico and with Michael, and I think they got a few poles, few podiums, and a win or something like that. And they hired Lewis in 2013. They had a good 2013, and then 2014 everything changed. It became one of the biggest phenomenon in Formula 1, right? Right? So maybe that could happen.
Yeah. Or and for that to happen, you need a Michael Schumacher, Nico Rosberg story
right.
before that.
Yeah.
You're playing into my story already. So see, it's all set up, man.
But,
It's all set up. It just needs to happen. Audi and Andreas Seidl just need to write that fairy tale for all F1
but
fans that are
again,
already starting to
for
expect
that
it from
entire
this
thing to
moment on.
happen, and your prediction from last year to happen as well. Lando Norris, world
I'm
champion.
not sure what my prediction for.
You said 23. You said 23 But that didn't happen.
That's already.
But
oh,
like that won't happen.
yeah,
But
that's
Lando
already
Norris, the
happened.
next British champion, the next, he could be the next.
Hamilton,
And Audi
yeah.
could back him in 25 to prime him for 26.
And technically, Mercedes is a German team, so another
Perfect.
German
It's-
team,
it's
another
so
British
perfect.
driver. It's all there. It's
Yeah.
all there. There's all the reasons to be excited about. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, guys. Let's already start cheering for this. So which means Lando Norris will win in